This video is part of the course that is Build Reactive REST APIs with Spring Web Flux and Spring Boot. Link for the course is given in the description. Hello and welcome back. In this lecture, we will see how generally we design our REST APIs with Spring Boot application. Or you can say how we have traditional REST APIs with our Spring Boot application. So here I am having one simple Spring Boot application. Say we have one e-commerce application. So here we are getting the order details by ID. We have simple controller. We are getting the order by ID, and from the controller we are calling the service layer. Right? And in the service layer, first we are hitting our database. This can be any SQL database or any other thing. And here we are using JPA repository. That's can be another way as well. Okay, you can use JDBC template, or if you are using Mongo repository, it can be anything. So the first thing, we are hitting the database to get the order details by ID, and after that we are hitting the external service to get the courier details for this particular order. So this can be like FedEx service or any other logistics service. Okay, external service we are calling to get the courier details for this particular order, and at the end we are clubbing these two details and we are giving response back in the format of JSON. So first calling the database and get the details of order, and then calling the external service to get the courier details and club the response. So here the execution is going from top to bottom, right? This is how generally we have done so far for many years. So this is called imperative style of programming, where execution goes from top to bottom. Now say calling this database and getting the order details by ID is taking 5 milliseconds, and calling the external service to get the courier details is also taking 5 milliseconds. So our total time for this particular REST API is around 10 milliseconds, basically response time. Yes, there is JSON serialized and deserialized time as well. Okay, but for now we are focusing on this business logic only. So in short, we can say that response time for this particular REST API is around 10 milliseconds. Okay, 5 for this database call and 5 milliseconds for the external service call. Now here what happens, once we are calling the database, right, to get the order details by ID, and it is taking 5 milliseconds to give us the data back. So at that time we are blocked. Okay. Once this is completed, this particular line number 29 is getting executed, then only the execution will move on the line number 32. Okay. Here also the external service is taking 5 milliseconds. Okay. So execution is blocked over here. Once we get the response from the external service, that is within the 5 milliseconds, then only the execution will move on the next line, that is line number 35, and this will continue so on. Whatever logic you have, right, whatever number of lines you have for this particular method or your REST API completely. So here we can say that this execution is synchronized. Okay, so this is synchronized manner, or you can say in a blocking way, because the execution is blocked till we get the details from the database. Then after it will move on this one, and it will be blocked till we get the response from the external service. Okay, so execution is blocked over here. Once it is completed, then only the execution will move on this line number. Okay, and it will carry on. So this is synchronized manner, or you can say in a blocked manner. Now let's understand the same with some diagrams. So here is one possibility, that client is hitting our Spring Boot application. So the execution from the controller to service layer, and say for example, we are just getting the details from database and giving it back to the client in the format of JSON. There is no external service over here. Okay. Now there is another possibility as well. Say we are just calling the external service and giving the response back to the client. There is no database. There is third possibility as well, that we have seen, that we are first calling the database, we are getting some details, we are calling the external service as well, we are clubbing these two details and giving the response back to the client in the format of JSON. So likewise, we can have multiple possibilities over here. So this is we have already seen, and these three are, you can say, possibilities I showed with some diagrams, and this we have seen in the code as well. So basically the execution in our Spring Boot application will be blocked till we get the details from the database, and same applies till we get the response from the external service. So our traditional REST APIs with Spring Boot application works in synchronous manner. So this is how our traditional REST APIs are designed and we are using it from many years. If you like the video, then please subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, like the video, do comment in the comment section and share with your friends. Do you want to learn reactive programming with Spring Webflux? If yes, then I am having complete course on it. In this course, first you will learn what is reactive programming and why you need to go for reactive programming. You will learn basics of reactive programming with Project Reactor library, and also you will learn reactive types, Flux and Mono with practical example. This course covers what is back pressure and how to achieve back pressure using reactive programming. In this course, you will learn different schedulers provided by reactive programming to perform tasks asynchronously. After having the basic knowledge of reactive programming, you will learn how to build reactive REST APIs with Spring Webflux and Spring Boot. You will learn how to have functional endpoint for your reactive REST APIs, and also you will learn how to get path variable, query param and HTTP headers while working with functional endpoints for your reactive REST APIs. You will learn to build non-blocking REST APIs with Spring Webflux and Spring Data R2DBC using different HTTP methods like GET, PUT, POST and DELETE. Here, Spring Data R2DBC is used to connect to any SQL database in a reactive way. Just want to mention that you can't use Spring Data JPA while working with reactive programming, and that's why Spring Data R2DBC is there for the same purpose. In this course, you will learn to create video streaming application just like YouTube using reactive REST APIs and Spring Webflux. So what are you waiting for? Link for the course is given in the description. Just click on that and start building reactive REST APIs with Spring Webflux and Spring Boot. That's all for now. We'll see you in the another video. Till then, happy learning and happy coding.